Talking, right? Like, how's my hair look? I didn't even comb it coming right off the airplane. Oh, there you go.
And
We
we're
go.
on.
Yeah. We're on and we're rocking and rolling. It's Tuesday night, November 7th, 2003. Second episode, Sheldon. Feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling all right. Still getting used to the late show. I was never a big fan of the time zone changes, but yeah, I'm feeling all right, Chef. How about you?
Well, like I was telling you before, I just got off the airplane, so I just ran here. My plane was an hour and a half late, and set everything up and rock and roll, ready to go. It was a big weekend in football. We had a lot of NFL action, but I think more importantly for us, the CFL. It was a big weekend, and leading into another one on the road to the Grey Cup. So I'm excited to talk a little bit about football, Sheldon. What
Yeah,
else
well,
tonight?
Well, it's also November now, Chef, and that's the month that men's causes really come to the center stage, and men start growing mustache. I got a beard, so I never really got into the whole Movember thing. But here, you know what? We're not just growing mustaches and beards; we're growing community. And tonight's guest, Kevin Smith, is into just that. So I'll tell you what, folks, buckle up, grab a snack, and join us on the ride. And we'll be right back after this. And we're back. And as always, this show is brought to you by Dream Reach Achieve, our one of our illustrious great sponsors that makes the show possible. And yeah, Chef. So how was the flight? You feel a little bit of that jet lag? Where are you coming back from Montreal?
Well, I had 3 nice days in Montreal after a conference in Toronto, so it's a little bit of a whirlwind. Trying to also prep for the show while visiting family and stuff. It was good. The flight was delayed an hour and a half, so that was kind of messing with me because my son had a championship football game tonight that I
Yeah.
basically missed. I was going to catch half of it if I landed on time, but I missed his championship game. And St. Francis Browns junior football city champs is here, so I'm very happy for my son. I didn't get a chance to speak to him yet because we came straight here. But yeah, I had a guy about your size in the middle seat. I was up by the wall, and he decided he's gonna try snuggling me for most of the flight. And this dude was like he was putting off some heat. And planes aren't designed for guys like you and me, let alone guys like you and me sitting next to each other. So I had a 4 hour flight with this guy like nodding off and every few seconds just kind of landing on me. And I had to kind of give him the hard shoulder to get back into his seat. So it was a little annoying. And there's about 20 crying babies on the flight tonight. And I normally don't have a problem with the crying baby on the flight, but this flight had 10 of them. And it was like they were in concert. So the noise canceling headphones can only do so much.
Well, there you go. Now, why don't we pull up and talk a little bit about what we've got on the show coming up here tonight, Chastity? You did take the time to put together a little menu of things you wanted to talk about tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, Sheldon. So the first thing we're going to talk, no practice, no problem. Josh Dobbs and the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, and sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, but in a locker room, Chef, well, we saw that with the Vegas Raiders this weekend. We got to get into that.
Yeah, and yeah, we should keep that graphic up there. But the next thing we're going to talk about is lemon drops, Bo don't know, and big play VA. So that's a little bit of CFL Eastern and Western semifinal action coming up, and some of the storylines out of those games.
Yeah, of course, we've got our 300-pound poetry coming up in a second.
You got to say that with more excitement, Sheldon. You know the
Yeah,
300-pound.
that's your thing. I enjoy it though. I read it. I always bring it when I can, right?
Well,
But
we're gonna bring it tonight. Then, as
Cassidy loves it.
you mentioned in the intro, we got Kevin Smith, local fitness trainer, but he also has a really interesting cause that he's been building in a community like we're here on the NGBN TV network. He's got a grassroots movement going in the city of Calgary. We're gonna get to talk to him a little bit about that.
And then, of course, in the third segment, we're going to bring the nasty thoughts. A couple of things happened in the CFL this weekend that just do not abide well by me, but we'll get to that a little later.
And then finally, we're going to pick it up with the road to the Grey Cup. So, Sheldon, you wanted to start with this. Let's hear it. No practice, no problem. Let's go.
Well, and this was a great story. I mean, last week we talked about the unsung hero story. But right now, Josh Dobbs sort of been a journeyman bouncing around. He's kind of the guy that just gets traded from team to team whenever they need some depth. He's got some chances starting, never lasts long for him. Well, of course, with the Vikings going down with the Achilles injury, out for the season, they've got their young rookie in there starting, but they better bring in an insurance policy, and that, of course, is Josh Dobbs. He gets there on a Tuesday, right? Not even the full week. He gets there on a Tuesday, doesn't take a snap all week long, and what happens in the first quarter? Jaron Hall, second drive of the game. He's out with a concussion. Josh Dobbs hasn't taken a snap all week long, and he's forced into action where literally head coach is describing the plays, drawing him up as he goes along. But what does he do, Chev? He pulls off a victory. Like, have you ever been in that situation where you had to go in not knowing an offense or not knowing a defense and just step in and play?
Well, Sheldon, I never had to do that on the offense or defense, even though I played both O-line and D-line in my career. But I will tell you, I have a slightly similar story. I was on the street for about 5 weeks when I got released by the Dallas Cowboys. I get signed for 3 to 5 weeks. I can't remember how long I was on the street for, but I get signed by Cincinnati Bengals. Now they brought me in on a Wednesday. So after the day off. The game was on a Sunday. They were scheduled just to send me to Europe. That was the plan. I was going to go to Europe to play in NFL Europe to develop. So I was sitting around all week. I didn't take a snap on special teams for long snapping. I barely got any D time. And then the Friday night after our day 3 practice, so you go day 1, day 2, day 3, and walk through before the game. After the day 3 practice, the coach comes up to me and says, "You're snapping in the game." I'm like, what do I do? And like, I had gotten no reps at all with the punt team. I barely knew anyone out there. And what they did was they brought the whole team in early on the Saturday morning before walkthrough so that we could walk through all the protections. And then I went out on a Sunday and I played against the team that drafted me that year, which was the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm telling you, I was crapping my pants a bit because, again, when you don't have a full week of practice in pads and all you have is walkthrough, snapping in your underwear. So I feel exactly what Josh Dobbs felt.
But that's just a long snapper. I mean, that's like me. So if I was a nose tackle. So if I go in a game, you could trade me next week. And it's like, Coach, what do I do on this defense? Week A gap. What do I do on this defense? Week A. This one, week A. It doesn't change. Like a long snapper, how much does it actually change for you? But as a quarterback, when you actually hear these plays and the play calls come out, there's numbers, code words, letters, colors, everything. I don't even know how it's physically possible, even just let alone to get the cadences down going into that week. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I know is quite impressive. He went 20 for 30. He did 158 yards, threw 2 touchdowns, was running like crazy. Really impressive. I'm not trying to compare being a long snapper to a quarterback because he has to know what everyone's doing. And you know,
he didn't even know their names.
Yeah, no, he didn't know their names. I didn't know my teammates' names that first week. And I was gone from Cincinnati a few weeks later, so I didn't get to learn their names. He'll be there, I have a feeling, for quite some time. The next story we want to bring up, the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, hold off for playing this video, Chesty, but Las Vegas Raiders, they went through, they're having a terrible season. As of last week, they were what were they? 3-5. They fired their coach. They fired their GM. They benched their multi-million-dollar quarterback, and they hired one of their linebackers coach, Antonio Pierce, to be the new head coach. Now, they won against the New York Giants this week. Now, what I saw, great that they won. It's hard to win in the NFL. It's hard to win a game. But Sheldon, these guys were smoking cigars in the locker room after. Now, let's play the clip now. Let's play the clip. Yeah, so I don't know, Sheldon. Like, we don't have a lot of time in this segment, but I mean, they beat the New York Giants. Now, the New York Giants were 2-6 prior to this game. 2-6. That's a 2-6 team that lost their starting quarterback, who's been having a terrible year. They lost him in the first quarter, and they were playing a backup that no one even knows his name. Even the commentators were Tommy DeVito, Tommy the who. They're playing. They beat them 30-6, so they get a victory for their new head coach. But cigars in the locker room, Sheldon, aren't cigars reserved for when you actually win something? Like cigars is a symbol of a championship, not a symbol.
Yeah, or in the Blue Jays case, when they lose a game, but they make it into the playoffs through the back door. But yeah, but what do you think they were really celebrating that game? I mean, do you think it was just the taste of sweet victory over the Giants? That's a team that had been through a lot that year. They had that team meeting with the coaches involved. Things got a little bit heated. I think this is just a team that hated the position they were in. They hated their head coach, and they got a little bit of validation the fact that he was fired.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're celebrating new starts.
Sheldon, you've played on some bad teams. I've played on some bad teams.
I've played on lots of bad teams.
Okay, when a coach gets let go or staff gets, or a guy loses his job, because they're still in the locker room with that quarterback. That's one injury away from being their starting a quarterback. And they're I don't know. You know what? When I think of teams that win, when I think of the Kansas City Chiefs, when I think of the Tom Brady New England Patriots, some of the great teams, you think they're lighting up cigars when they beat a team that they're supposed to beat? Do you think Joe Burrow lighting up cigars because he beat the Bills on Sunday Night Football? No.
Yeah, it's kind of you don't see that in the NFL very often, do you? Like that is kind of a Bush move, isn't it? I see, like, maybe at first I was thinking, is this channeling the greatness of the 1970s Raiders and bringing back that edge, or is this just stupid?
You know what you do? You bring back that edge on the football field. And again, you're happy when you win some games because their playoffs hopes are still alive, but it didn't even secure them. It's not even like they snuck into the playoffs. It was a game they should have won, especially when they knocked the quarterback out of the game. It was a game they had to win to kind of make a statement. But again, there's always that old saying, act like you've been there before. Act like you've been, when you're smoking cigars after being a terrible team, your entire staff, like, you guys got him fired. It's not just the coach's fault. When a coach gets fired, it's because players aren't doing their job. I don't care how it goes and which quarterback got benched. Like, you win and lose as a team in football. No matter how bad your coach is, you still got to go out there and perform. And now you're smoking cigarettes because you beat the New York Giants. I know. I love Max Crosby. I love that guy's game. I heard him talking. He was on the Pat McAfee show the other day talking about how he brought some cigars. And yeah, they're excited. But gosh, I don't know. You know what? The only time I've ever brought out the cigar, Sheldon, is when I won one of my three of my Grey Cups. That's the only time I brought cigars out. The rest of the time, when you win a game, you enjoy it for just that little bit. And I was one of those guys that had a hard time enjoying games because I only thought about the way I could have been better for the team. And the next day, it's forgotten. So I don't know. They're going to go back to the locker room on Monday. Their crap's going to smell like cigar smoke. They're going to have to get over that feeling and focus on the next opponent. But they got a tough schedule coming up. So that might be, they might save the next batch of cigars for when they hit the Broncos at the end of the season, because that's about all the cigars I could see them smoking for the rest of the year. Sheldon, we're going to move on. We're time is flying. Time is flying. So let's get Chastity up. We're going to get, it's that time. It's where you're 300-pound poets. Sheldon hates it. I love it. The feedback we get, we love it. So let's play that splitter and let's get you some poetry here live on a Tuesday night.
There we go. Chevy just touched down from a late afternoon flight with the 300-pound poets. We're running tonight.
The Vikings' unlikely hero, Josh Dobbs, won the game without taking a snap all week in practice or learning his teammate's name.
The Eagles, Bengals, and Ravens continued to pile up wins, while over in Germany, the Chiefs bested the Finns.
A CFL playoff weekend saw the Owls and Lions advance. Next, they must beat the Argos and Bombers in order to advance.
So the road to the Grey Cup will be paved by this weekend's matches. We expect lots of action and some incredible catches.
We are Chevy and nasty, and we're not just dumb jocks. We have takes on all kinds of subjects. Plus, we're dead sexy in Crocs. Every week it gets a little bit worse.
Do you even own Crocs? I don't even own Crocs.
I have two
Where do
pairs
you
of
find a
Crocs.
size 14 Croc?
I have camouflage Crocs, Sheldon. They're like the
Really?
amphibious shoe, man. Like
I never, I just never really got into that whole Croc thing.
I don't
But
know. Listen,
I'm sure with my calves and ankles, yeah, I'd look pretty damn sexy in Crocs.
you know what, Crocs, I love. I used to, it's the one shoe you can go lift weights, take your shower, walk out, go grab a bite to eat, and never have to take them off. They're the best. They're the best. I don't know. Listen, if you're listening tonight, you could catch us on Chevy and Nasty at YouTube, at Chevy and Nasty Facebook. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and the NGBN.TV network. Leave us a comment here or there. Let us know. You like the poetry? You wearing Crocs? Are you sexy in Crocs? What do you think about the Raiders lighting up Stogies after a regular season win against a lowly opponent? We're going to move on to the CFL Eastern Conference semifinal. We had the CFL conference semis this week. This week we saw the Tiger Cats against the Montreal Alouettes, my hometown, and I was just there, so a lot of a buzz around Montreal. Sheldon, what do you got for this game?
I think we saw exactly what we expected to see. And for some reason, I think last week you actually picked that the Tiger Cats would have a chance, that Bo Levi Mitchell would come on and save the day. But the fact of the matter is the Cats came out flat and it just went worse from there. The amazing thing, the highest paid player in the league, Bo Levi Mitchell, didn't even see action until 7 minutes left in the game. They put up some yards. He didn't even put up any yards. Anyway, the Montreal walks away 27-12. Exactly what you expected to happen, but I'll tell you, it really makes you wonder what the future is of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I guess they're going to have a long off season to ponder it here as Montreal moves on to face Toronto.
Well, Sheldon, what I love from that game is my old buddy, old teammate, Sean Lemon. He was defensive end for the Montreal Alouettes. He had a great season here in Calgary last year, was not offered a contract. He was on the street for basically up until July. He didn't have a contract. He gets his 100th sack this year. He's super productive. He sparked the Montreal Alouettes. And before the game, he was asked, because Hamilton platoons their quarterbacks between Matthew Schiltz and Bo Levi Mitchell, he was asked which quarterback he prefers. And we have a little graphic there, if we could pull that up. He was asked which quarterback he prefers. And the quote of the game, he says, "I don't care which quarterback is in, I'm going to sack them both." There he is, Sean Lemon right there. Lemon Drops. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram. He's a really entertaining guy. He's been doing it for so many years, played for so many teams. But yeah, he goes in the game. He gets 2 sacks, dominates the game. He just has a great game. Him, Darnell Sankey, the whole entire Montreal Alouette defense just had a fantastic game against the Ticats. But you mentioned it. I said last week that I'm going to go with Bo as long as he's in. Well, in order to go with Bo as long as he's in, they got to play the guy. And Hamilton Tiger Cats signed him in the offseason to be their quarterback. Now, he had some injury issues. He had some injury issues twice throughout the year, but he's ready to play in the playoffs. And you go with the backup, and you don't even put him in until the end when he's
that says a lot, though. I mean, they've seen enough.
And so Bo Levi Mitchell doesn't get a chance to do anything for the team. So 2 years in a row, he has some really bad luck during the season, and really not the end he hoped, nor did the Ticats hope for that. But, we got a clip here of Bo Levi's post-game comments as to what he said the future might look like.
It's fresh right now, but if you're not playing your highest paid player on the team in a playoff game, I don't foresee myself probably being here. But I love this team. I love this organization. I hope I can be here in some capacity.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that says it all. I've never been a big Bo Levi fan. I've always seen him as overly arrogant at times when he needs to show a little more humility and just play. But right now, you look at him. What more can the guy say? I'm the highest paid guy on the team. I'm the highest paid guy in the league, and to not see the field, that says a lot.
Yeah, it definitely says a lot. We'll see what happens there, but Montreal moves on. Montreal moves on. Tripping through transformation said, "Let's go, boys!" Everybody, Guillaume, listening in. Thanks, Guy. That's awesome. But yeah, we're gonna move on to the Western Conference semifinal. It was our local Calgary Stampeders versus the BC Lions. So yeah, we got Bruno Lindia here. Same thing happened last year to both the Stampeders. Absolutely, he goes to Hamilton. Yeah. It's not the end he wanted, but let's move on. We're going to move to the Stamps and the BC Lions. We got a few minutes left to get to this before we get out. Sheldon, your buddy, the guy, your new man crush, big play VA. Did he save the day for BC Lions, or was it just a case of, you know what, the Stampeders were outclassed coming into this, and they weren't gonna put up a fight?
No, you know what? I'll tell you, I've liked Vernon Adams all season long. I mean, this is the first year that he's really been able to put it together throughout, an entire season. And I've talked about it before, but he came out of the offseason talking about exactly what he worked on. He worked on getting his hips, his turn, so he could put more velocity on the ball. He worked on getting the ball out of his hand faster. He did all the things you want your starting quarterback to do to lead a team. And I think this weekend we saw exactly that. I mean, it was a perfect combination of him making a quick read, delivering the ball, and wasn't there. He took off with his legs. At halftime, he was on track for over 500 yards. I mean, he ended up with 420 yards passing in the game, which is not bad, right? But he matched that with 2 rushing touchdowns. The guy's on fire, and he's peaking at the right point in the season.
Yeah, Sheldon, I was super hopeful for the hometown Stamps. They came out 3-play drive, scoring drive to open the game, and it was looking good. It reminded me of going to BC in 2014, I believe it was, for the Western Conference final, and Markway McDaniel got a big play right out the gates. But that was not to be the case. Like you said, Vernon Adams exploded in that game. And that's a high-powered offense. So going into the offseason, a lot of questions for the Stampeders. People here, they're questioning the quarterback situation. They're questioning the role of the head coach, being head coach and GM. So I don't know. A lot of questions for the Stampeders. I think they're going to have to take some time to regroup. They're going to see if they lose any coaches to the Saskatchewan coaching search and the fallout, the ripple effect there. I think they're going to take a couple of months to regroup, see what they got, and move forward. But
let me ask you this real quickly. Do you think they have the right people in that quarterback locker room to take the team? Like, now we've seen Jake Mayer for a full season, and this is important. I mean, the CFL is a quarterback-driven league. He's shown flashes earlier in his career. Have you seen enough from him to say he's the future of this offense? Or are we going to start shaking the quarterback tree and seeing what we can find?
You know what? I think he's got to get those interceptions under control. He's had a pretty good season, actually. He's had a really good season with completions and attempts and even touchdowns. It's just the interceptions got to come down. And that might be still a young guy making some mistakes. But Sheldon, we're going to have to move on from the CFL. Answer a question. Our good buddy, Chris Rubio, texted, and he asked me, what's my favorite airplane snack? Well, I'm going to tell you, unless I bring the snack on, I am too cheap to buy anything on the airplane. I looked at the menu today, and it was like $10 for a cup of rice that didn't even have any chicken on it. So I saved my money. I had the little pouch of pretzels, and there was a whole story why I had no food with me. My flight was delayed an hour and a half, so I was sitting at another section of the airport waiting to grab some lunch before I jumped on. Then all of a sudden there was an email that I was lucky I checked that said the flight was only an hour delayed. So now I'm sprinting through the airport, didn't get lunch, didn't get a drink. So I just had pretzels and a Coke, but I'm not buying anything on the plane because that is a ripoff as far as I'm concerned. Speaking of, Sheldon, we got to get out. We got to take a break. We're going to thank Dream Reach Achieve for sponsoring this first segment. You can catch us on all socials at Chevy and Nasty, and you're listening to us on the NGBN.TV network. When we get back, we're going to have our first guest of our second episode, Kevin Smith. Thanks for being on the ride.
Are you a business owner or sales professional and want to build and maintain a peak performing premium pricing sales team? Are you and your team finding it difficult to work with clients you want to at the premium prices you deserve? The Professional Sales and Execution Certificate Program will dismiss the sales myths that have limited you and your team and stalled your complete company's growth. Learn all about our PSE secret weapons, including the 98.2 premium presentation that helps build a high-ticket repeat sales network. These absolutely dead simple secret weapons allow you and your team to be yourself and utilize extremely powerful ways to decide which clients you want to work with. If you're ready for a high energy and high power training session that will completely transform you and your team into the envy of your industry, simply click here and register and book now. Get started on your premium pricing high ticket sales execution journey now.
This is NGBN TV, a network for men and home to top experts, speakers, authors, and more. Streaming TV for men, created by men.
But why?
Why are we a network that inspires,
Educates, entertains, celebrates, and supports
men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, simply to save men's lives.
There is an epidemic in our community,
and it's taking men from us?
I'm talking about mental health and suicide.
But we have an answer, and it's streaming, live shows, sports, concerts, and more.
in a real way for men to lock shields.
We can't wait to launch this TV network for you and with you.
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 Join our movement at ngbn.tv, coming January 2024.
And welcome back to The Ride, everybody. This segment is brought to you by We Own Real Estate Media in Calgary, your one-stop shop to get your listing on the MLS. Yeah, Chef, so we're kind of excited about this. This is something we used to do back in the past, and this is going to be our first time here on this network bringing on a guest. And I think we got all the kinks worked out. But this guy is really neat because I first heard about him going back probably in the spring. You're talking about this friend of yours that started this really cool group that just gets, you know, men together, getting out doing stuff, you know, just to make sure that there was a sense of community. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool, but I never partook in it. Now, fast forward about 3, 4, 5 months, I've had 2 separate friends now that have joined the group, are enjoying the events, whether it's bowling or whatever they're doing, getting out there. But this is a guy that was on a mission to connect with other men, which, you know, coming out of COVID, you know, sometimes you just didn't get enough of those relationships. And he's providing this platform for people to get together, just get out of the house and talk. And why don't you take it from here? Because you know Kevin better than I do.
Yeah, you know what? We're all about creating community, and I think we bring Kevin on right now. So let's welcome Kevin to the show, and we'll just talk a little bit more about what he's doing. Kevin Smith with the Batman shirt. Welcome to the.
Hey, fellas, how are you?
Good. Welcome to The Ride with Chevy and Nasty. Thanks for staying up with us late at night. I know you got clients like at 4 a.m., so this is a late night call for you, but we want to recreate the magic of old late night radio talk. And you are our first guest as we join forces with the NGBN.TV network. And I think it's very timely, Kevin, because what we're trying to create in this online network is a community of men helping men. The NGBN.TV network is dedicated to helping men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, and even before. But you really started this movement a few years ago, and you know, through a mutual friend of Sheldon's and mine, and your old partner Ron Jarrett, you had this thing called Hero Day, which Hero Camp, which was, I think, your first attempt at this. And I spoke at that, and it was such an empowering event. And now fast forward to 2023, as Sheldon mentioned, after COVID, you're starting a new group. I think it's undergone a couple of name changes, but a brother's path. Tell us a little bit about a brother's path and how it came to be.
Okay. Well, one, thanks for having me on. And two, the only team that should be smoking cigars in the locker room this season should be my Detroit Lions. Just saying. Just saying. It's been a long haul for us.
This might be the year,
I
Kev.
don't know anybody claimed the Detroit Lions as their team, at least not up here.
No, it's for about 40 some odd years, man. It's been a long haul. Brothers Path. It's like you said, Chev, you came to Hero Camp with Ron and I, and it was a great weekend, and it kind of fell by the wayside after a little while. I got divorced, and I kind of felt a little bit of a loss of losing some friends and things like that. And in 2018, I just started doing more and more events with my buddy Brett from the gym, and bringing more people on as we kind of grew. So we had about 30 or 40 guys all together that were, wanting to go out and do things, whether it's go to the mountains, go for shaves and haircuts, just eat. And it went really well. Then of course, COVID hit and everything, again, the brakes got put on. Jump ahead to last year, the beginning of last year, or at the end of last year, within a span of 3 months, I lost four close friends due to suicide, and it hit me. It hit me hard, and it still hits me hard every time getting into this type of season.
Now, Kevin, can I cut you off for a second there?
Yeah.
Was not one of the friends you lost was in the group after it had started? Because I was in the chat group, and I remember one of the friends was in the group, correct?
Yeah. His name was Rocco, and he's been a buddy of mine for 22 years, and he lost his battle with mental health. And it's really unfortunate. We did to celebrate we had a memorial Speeders Racers Cup, the Rocco Pernini Cup at Speeders Raceway. And we had 15 guys come out and celebrate his life. And it was pretty amazing. And my buddy Ron won the cup, so he's going to have to defend it this year. And I'm coming after him. But, losing four guys in a very short period of time for all the same cause really it really resolved me to make a difference in men's mental health, especially the men that are around me. So this explosion of men wanting to come into this group happened because I answered a message from a guy on Ask Calgary. He was looking for a group of men that don't really drink, but they get out and are active and give back to the community. And it was boom, 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 message after message. And honestly, it was mostly girlfriends, fiancés, and wives telling their husbands, you need to go see this guy. You need to hang out. So we are now boasting. We went from 30 to we're boasting over 750 members right now between all platforms.
Well, and that's just over the last, basically over the summer, is it not?
No, honestly, this is probably the last 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Since September, October.
So obviously,
did that surprise you to see just what kind of a need there was out there? What kind of reaction you got to that? Like, what do you think it was that just caught on with the men in Calgary?
I think it's very much a societal thing right now. A lot of men are feeling beaten down. They're feeling, whether it's by society, with cancel culture, with how the country is being run. Everybody, I think it's everything. It's a combined feeling of not feeling good enough. Right. I think that's what it is.
And you're seeing huge numbers, Kevin, and you're doing some great work. Like for those, where can we find you? So I believe you're on Facebook, correct?
We're on Facebook.
Path
it's called.
Group.
Pardon me. Sorry.
A Brother's Path is your group, correct?
A Brother's Path is our group. We're on Facebook, Twitter. We're on a Brother's Path on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Nice. And you have a website as well, www.abrotherspath.com? Is that
Our
coming?
website is under construction. It should be ready within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
No, and that's fantastic work. I've been, honored to be with the group. Hopefully, a bunch of the guys in the group are listening tonight or will catch this because you know what? It is also nice to put a face to the name sometimes because not all of us, like myself, I can't get out to the functions, but I follow them all. I see the pictures. We showed some before of you guys doing some of the activities. I think the most recent one, you guys were in Canmore and you went for a Prohibition shave. A shave, a dinner, a hike, like that's some good stuff you're doing. And obviously there's a need. We talk about Movember. I've grown a mustache in the past. We have some fun with it because you know what? One of the things, like you talked about going through some negative experiences, one of the things that I've found always help me is find a way to laugh at yourself, find some humor. And we're going to show something I did a couple of years ago for Movember, just to kind of set the mood here. And we could chat a little bit about fitness after this. So, Chastity, if you could pull up the Macho Dad interview for those of you that love wrestling.
I remember that, bud.
Yeah, I'm not above making fun of myself. So those of you tuning in for the first time,
ladies and gentlemen, Mean Don. Ladies and gentlemen, Mean Don here in the basement of Don's Hobby Shop. It's the month of November. Men's Health Awareness. We've brought in a special guest to talk about Movember. The Macho Dad, Randy Damage.
Oh yeah, the Macho Dad. Welcome back. Never fear, the Macho Dad's here. Me, Don, your trash is trash, mine is flesh, and I'm here to raise some cash.
Well, that's great, Randy. And it's very nice of you to dress up for the occasion. That's very nice, kind of a feather scarf you have right there.
You want to touch it?
As a matter of fact, I would.
Well, you can't, because it's a champion's prerogative right there. Yeah, I mean, Don, you don't want me to touch your tie, do you? Respect my personal space.
Okay, Randy. Can you tell us about Movember and what it's all about?
Well, Movember is a movement to raise awareness for men's health issues. We're talking about prostate cancer. We're talking about mental health, which clearly I don't have a problem with. Suicide prevention and testicular cancer. You didn't think I'd articulate that, did ya? Yeah, I'm a college grad. Yeah.
Wow, that is impressive, Randy. And I see you brought a little science experiment here to show the people.
Yeah, I want to show the maniacs back home what I mean when men's health issues were at the bottom. You see, Don, I brought a little bit of olive oil.
Olive oil, yes.
Extra virgin, just like you. Yeah, see what I did there? Pour the olive oil in. See that? That's men's health. Right at the bottom, right there. All testicular cancer, prostate cancer, mental health, and suicide awareness. Right at the bottom. And for years, Don, sat at the bottom. Nobody talked about it like the Macho Dad. But right now, check this out. Hold this for me.
Okay,
Don,
okay. All right.
Just like this. Look at this. This is what Movember is. Movember, we bring the issues right to the top. Check that out. Check that out. Just give it a minute. I went to high school. Science, I did this. Check this out. Fill it up with some water. Stir it up. Now look what happens to the men's health issues. They fall right to the top. To the top! Yeah! Dig it! And when they're at the top, we can tackle those issues, Don, just like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, friends. Randy Damage with a special message about men's health.
Yeah, dig it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So good.
That was, I still remember when I first saw, I thought that was going to be so cringe, right? I was like, oh no, don't do it. That was awesome, buddy. Do you still have the feather boa?
No, I don't. That was my buddy Scott Benny at Don's Hobby Shop here in Calgary. We did that video. We raised some money for Movember. I have fun doing that. I did it the last few years. This year, I'm not growing the mustache. I said we're growing a community. I'm focusing on that. We bring Kevin on to talk about A Brother's Path. Kevin, you're doing some fantastic work. Want to shift gears here a little bit. We got a few minutes left talking about health. You're a fitness trainer in town. you're a fitness trainer in town. You do a lot of work with men. You're going to be up tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. So we're going to let you go here pretty quick. But tell us a little bit about as men, we're in our 40s, hitting our 50s. What are some things we could do to keep ourselves healthy? If you were to give us 2 or 3 tips.
First thing as a 56-year-old dad, lift. I'm going to say from being in this industry for 34 years of training, I will say lift. Even if you're just starting to get into the gym and lifting weights, either do it on your own, do it with a buddy, or incorporate a personal trainer. Lifting is probably one of the best natural ways that you can offset, your testosterone going a little bit lower. Mobility, start taking mobility classes, or look online for mobility and just learn to move your body as well as you can. Another big thing for men is like stay away from getting out of the gym. Go in to see your doctors. Go in and get your checkups. There's a lot of guys in our group that I've talked to that are well into their 50s that haven't had a checkup or have their blood work or had that their testosterone checked in probably well over 10 years. So doing that, a lot of guys are scared to do it because they don't want to know the answer in case something's wrong. And honestly, start your day with water, your greens, vitamin C, vitamin D, all the good stuff, magnesium. Start off the day off on that set, and it's probably it's what I do every morning. I'm 56. I feel like I'm 38. I feel great. And, and it's not complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah. And that's just amazing. I think there's a lot of us out there that are just listening to that list of things and just saying, oh yeah, that's me. Oh, that's me. We just finally got our family doctor after COVID. Our doctor retired, and through my 30s and 40s, I was so healthy. I never went to see the doctor. And I was that guy. I went in there and he says, okay, let me pull up your blood work because you haven't had blood work in 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you know what? So I got my requisition form, and next week I'm going to be heading down there and getting it done. But it's the common sense things that men, we just tend to put off.
It's important. It's really, really important. I suggest to all my clients that are over the age of 40, I push them and bully them into going to see their doctors, get their blood work done, get their test levels checked. It's really important to do so. And I think it's so important. I'm a stickler for it for my own health.
There you go, Kevin. I just wanted to say thank you for joining us on the ride here today. That's
welcome.
It gives me something to think about. Those actually really hit home with me. I haven't even lifted a weight in like 6 years, so maybe it's time to start taking care of this body, start looking more like you and Chev again. But I'll tell you what, Kevin, we're going to put all your links to your socials and the website down below, so anybody listening to this in the future knows where to find you. But that's an amazing story. I appreciate the work that you've done. I know to build something like you have takes a lot of work and a lot of determination to keep it going. And just hats off to you for taking care of the men in the city.
Thank you very much. And just one final thing. There's a lot of people in the background of what I'm doing. It is a lot of work getting off the ground, but there's a lot of guys in the background that I am so appreciative for, like Eric and Dave and Jen. Those people have been so instrumental with helping me get this up and how it's going to move in the new year.
Community.
Yeah, Kev, you're doing some great stuff. We appreciate you coming on. As this thing keeps rolling along, we'd love to get you back again, talk some health tips, some fitness tips, and just get an update as the group grows and to see just the progress you're making here in Calgary. And and hopefully we can hook you guys into the NGBN.TV network, because not only is it important here, but we're seeing it across Canada and the US, and that's really what we're trying to build, is this community of guys or people that have guys in their life that can rely on each other just to do good things and take care of each other and look out for each other, because we often don't do it. Like we said, men's health often gets forgotten. We forget ourselves when we're putting everyone ahead of ourselves. So you're doing some great work, man. We're going to have to take a break here. Thanks to our sponsor, We Drone Real Estate Photography, for sponsoring your visit at this section. When we get back, a little bit of nasty thoughts. Sheldon's got something that irks him this week, so stay tuned. We'll be right back on the ride. Well, Sheldon's getting up and he's leaving the show. Sheldon, we are back on here.
Did I really just overstay my break?
Yeah, you just took off. We're back. It's The Ride with Chevy and Nasty here on the NGBN.TV network while Sheldon adjusts himself. But that's the beauty of live television. This is what we wanted to do. We wanted to be live with you late at night. We just had Kevin Smith on talking about taking care of the fellas, looking out for each other, calling on each other. And it's important that if you're watching our show right now tonight, this is what we want to be. We want to be here for you. If you're hanging out, you're scrolling through Netflix, not picking up any shows, you can't sleep because maybe you had a rough day, whether at work or at home. We just want to be a little bit of escape. We want to be there. We're there for you guys. We know some of our friends are listening. We got Rubio just said a nice note to Kevin Smith, said he loves Kevin's energy. And yeah, we just want to be a place where guys can come, feel safe. We can mess up. We can go to the bathroom midway through our 30-second commercial and come back and have to get our glasses on. That's what we do. But we're here for you. We're here for each other. Sheldon and I, we often check on each other as we prepare for the show, and we are glad that you stick with us. But now we're gonna move into what we wanted to talk about, or what Sheldon wanted to talk about today. We were talking about some CFL playoff action before. The Stampeders and the BC Lions were playing. But the week prior to that, there was something that irked Sheldon. So we're going to get Sheldon, nasty thoughts.
Yeah, Chev, this is the thing. You know me, I was always sort of a team guy. And I always tried to put, the attention on the team and not on myself. And here's a guy that I'm actually a huge fan of. Cameron Judge has been absolutely amazing. Rubio's got to love this guy. He's a UCLA guy, a standout player in the CFL. But as we were going throughout the season and the Stamps, it just didn't come together. And you just felt the team kind of falling apart as the season goes on. Now, Cameron Judge is a great player, but he gets snubbed in the CFL awards department. And going into a playoff game where it doesn't matter what underdogs you are, you still have an opportunity to beat the BC Lions and go on and win. And he decides to put out the tweets. I'd love to hear any arguments of how I didn't make it this year. It's my stats impact, straight robbery, the disrespect continues. Now, I don't know if he was trying to get his teammates fired up about that, but it's just one of those things that always rubs me the wrong way. When you're going into a playoff game and it's win or go home, you got to take the focus off of your own self. I've always believed that the great players don't need to talk about themselves. Let his people talk about how he got robbed. You got to be bigger than that. And that's one of those things. It's just bothered me from a great player like that. I thought it was unnecessary. Randy, what do you think? Am I wrong? Sheldon, am I too hard on guys? Is it just because I didn't play in the Twitter era? I mean, that I would never went out there and defended the brand.
Well, there was always guys talking about their stats back in the day. It's hard to make all-star teams, and they don't put guys on the teams, and guys get frustrated and guys get pissed off, and they talk about it in the locker rooms. But yeah, the age of Twitter certainly allows for that discussion to go beyond the locker room and create some reaction from fans. And I mean, we showed that tweet there from Cameron Judge in reply to the CFL's Western All-Star release. But I think the thing is a lot of teams. So it's twofold, right? Like when I played for the Stamps for all those years, we always were guaranteed at least one playoff check. We knew we were making the playoffs, and that playoff check is really important for most of the guys on the team that aren't making big money. And the other factor to consider is that a lot of teams structure the contracts of their players such that they get hefty bonuses or they get a large sum for their all-star bonuses. So I'm sure he was pretty pissed off that he probably lost out on a bunch of money. That would be my sense. But he had a fantastic season. I mean,
absolutely he did.
So the timing of it, kind of sucks. I mean, Sheldon, I'm still kind of wondering why there's never been a long snapper for an all-star position. The dawn of time, like it's a specific position, just much like a kicker or a punter. Not everyone can do it, yet there's no all-star for it. And so I've always kind of felt a little bit of negativity towards any sort of all-star nominations, because if you're not recognizing everyone that does something on the team, then they're not worth their weight. But in this case, they got a playoff game to prepare for. Yeah, I don't know.
But I look back to it, and maybe it's different because it was a teammate, but I think it was 05. I had 7 sacks, but I should have been around 8 or 9. But Demetrius Maxey, teammate, outstanding All-Canadian defensive tackle. He would come in there, and if he had his hand on the thigh board of the quarterback before I took him out, he would actually petition to turn over the sacks so that he would get the stats for that. Demetrius Maxey, if you ever see this, I love you, brother, but that was wrong, man. I guess I just never really worried about collecting the stats. I figured the cream will rise to the top, and I didn't ever want to get distracted going into a playoff game where not just my playoff check, but other guys' careers were in line. Because you know what happens when you lose a playoff game? It's the last time you play with those guys. There's always turnover in the locker room. And I just, as much as I love that guy, that tweet just rubbed me the wrong way.
It rubbed you the wrong way, and you know what? I could tell you were a little irked when I showed it to you. But let's move on. We're talking CFL. The Stamps are no longer in the picture, so Cam Judge can figure out what his offseason is going to look like. But we're going to move into the Eastern Conference Finals. So the Montreal Alouettes, if we can hold that. That graphic up there, the Montreal Alouettes will be marching in to Toronto to play the Argonauts. The Owls have not been able to beat the Argonauts this year, and the Argonauts are having quite a historic season, Sheldon. So what are you saying about this game, and who do you like to come out on top going into the Grey Cup?
Well, you know what? This time I'll stop being the broken record about a quarterback-driven league. But the Argonauts, they do have an amazing young quarterback in Chad Kelly, a nephew of Jim Kelly. But they've got some magic on this team that I have not seen in terms of a full team performance. Whether it's whether it's offense, but really what excites me the most is their defense. How week in and week out they've been able to just make life very difficult for the teams that are out there. So, if you're looking at Argonauts that are now 16-2 on the season, which hasn't been done, no team has only lost 2 games in a season since I think it goes back to the 70s. How do you bet against this? These guys are juggernauts. They are playing perfect ball right now. Fajardo in Montreal, he's done a nice job. He has had his redemption song sang since his last season with the Riders. But really, when it comes down to it, I don't think that there's a team in the CFL right now that can match up with the might. The full team force of the Toronto Argonauts.
Yeah, I'm going to go against you here, Sheldon. I'm going to go and I'm going to look at the performance that the Montreal defense put on last week with Sean Lemon, Sankey, and the rest of the gang. They are charged. The games that they played this year against the Argos were a lot closer than people thought. The teams are a lot closer in the total stats. I mean, points per game, Montreal's got a few less, but points allowed, they're kind of the same. Yards per game, Toronto edges them in a couple of categories, but the edge that I like that the Alouettes have, and why I'm picking the Owls, is because they're hungry. They've got something to prove. The Argos have not played meaningful football in about 5 weeks. The Alouettes have been clawing tooth and nail to get into this position. They understand where they are. They understand that they haven't won all year. They understand that the Argos have had their number. And that's why, in the famous words of John Huffnagel in the 2008 Grey Cup, the Alouettes have the Argos exactly where they want them. And I think the Owls are going to win this game. That's my prediction on this one. I'm picking the Owls because they're my hometown team. My buddy Jason Moss is their head coach. Sean Lemon, he calls a shot and he makes it happen. It's going to be a repeat this week, and I think it's going to be the Owls.
Wow, I think you're kind of voting with your heart and not your head. But I agree with you. There's some great players on Montreal, but man, you know what? The only stat that matters to me is a 16-2 record. That they have been near perfect week in and week out. And in the CFL, it's so easy to get tripped up by a sleeper game, a sleeper opponent, a road trip. I can't see that happening. The only thing I can say is that Chad Kelly is a young quarterback, and they have been resting him. And sometimes if you take a young guy off the field for 2-3 weeks, he starts to lose his edge. That's the only thing. But then they've got the ground. There's no way, Chev, you're crazy. But,
okay, Sheldon, I'm crazy, but we got a couple of minutes left. So before I go crazy for the rest of the night, we're going to hit the Western Conference Final. Let's put it up. We got the BC Lions going into Winnipeg to play the Blue Bombers. Blue Bombers have been in the class of the league for at least the last 4 years. Sheldon, we got a couple of minutes. What do you like? What do you don't like?
Oh man, Chev, this one, I mean, this is a pick 'em. This is probably the hardest one to predict. I think on paper, you got to go with the Bombers. But you know, there's this thing that happens when you take a look at that defensive front, and they've been playing great. They've been playing fine. Maybe not quite as dominant as they've been before, but they're starting to age a little bit. And I'm going to go back to what I saw with Vernon Adams last week, and the way that he was able to take over that game at times with his legs. I think that's going to be a real deal in this matchup. I mean, we don't know exactly what the weather's going to be, but it's going to be cold. Its chances are it's going to be a little frosty on the field. And if you've got an X factor like Vernon Adams, who's really coming into his own with his legs right now, I think that's going to be the difference. I think Winnipeg's going to be chasing him over the field all night, and he's going to be able to make plays with his legs by breaking and contain.
Well, Sheldon, you said I'm crazy for picking the Owls over the Argos. I think you're crazy for picking the BC Lions over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is a
420 yards last week.
Sheldon, that's all. Winnipeg Blue Bombers have Zach Collaros. He's been the one of the best quarterbacks in the CFL. Brady Oliveira is all the legs that the need to beat the BC Lions. The BC Lions' only running game is Vernon Adams. If he runs, he's one hit away from being on the bench, and then they're playing Dane Evans.
Dane Evans can win too.
Yeah, well, they're not beating the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Dane Evans can beat the Calgary Stampeders. He's not beating the Blue Bombers. I'm going hard on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. My bold prediction is we're going to have a Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Montreal Alouettes Grey Cup in Hamilton in a couple of weeks. You think it's going to be the Argos and the BC Lions. We're going to see who's right. We're just about out of time, so we're going to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We're going to thank AC for teeing it off tonight for us. If you want to catch his show, it's going to be up on the NGBN.TV network. So is ours. We're on YouTube at Chevy and Nasty. We're on Facebook at Chevy and Nasty, Twitter, Instagram at Chevy and Nasty. We appreciate you guys coming here tonight to hang out with us, to listen to our crazy stories, and maybe there's something in there that you can use in your life. Sheldon, last word before we roll.
You know what? That's about it, Chev. It's been it's been fun talking about meaningful football up at the CFL again. I'm looking forward to coming back next week and chatting with all our Canadian and CFL audience about what actually happened in some of these games. Can Vernon Adams' legs save the day, Chef? We're just going to have to wait and find out.
And that's right. We are going to do a special Grey Cup edition that you can only find on our YouTube or Facebook page. So it's not going to be live, but next week we're doing a Grey Cup preview show. So please like and subscribe to our socials and YouTube page. We're going to have that Grey Cup preview coming up next week. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We appreciate you joining us right here on The Ride. All right. Well, we're still recording.
Well, we're still live. Yeah.